Why do they keep telling me to do like a catchy intro? I don't know how to do that. Here's what we're doing today. PTE Academic. We're focusing on writing. 4 question types. Let's go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is where we're gaining marks and where we're losing marks. There are 4 question types that contribute to your final writing score, and I have divided them equally. I believe that each one of these question types, so we're going to do summarize written text, write essay, summarize spoken text, and write from dictation. I'm going to safely assume that each of these contribute 25% of your final score to your final score. Okay, so let's take a look-see at these scores and these numbers together. Summarize written text. You've got 2 questions. It is in part 1 of the exam. Your main aim is to get 9 out of 9. I know it's difficult, so we can assume it's even more difficult because you've got your right essay question, which is just 1 question, and it concludes the part 1 of the exam, and you need to get a score of 26. Well, you don't need to, but it would be nice to get 22 to 24 marks. Okay? Then no writing scoring happens in section 2, and we jump to section 3 of the exam, which is then the listening part, where we have summarized spoken text, 1 question only. You've got 10 minutes to get a score of 12. And then it's the final part, which is one of the most difficult question types for you guys, write from dictation. 3 to 4 questions with up to 12 words in each sentence. There are no deductions for this question type, so that's really good. For every correct word you type, you get a point. Okay, so let's talk about where things are going wrong, where we're screwing up, what's happening. Okay, I believe there are 5 things, and it's consistently showing up in all my students. The main thing I have noticed is spelling. Okay, somehow when it comes to spelling, everyone is really screwing up. They don't just make 1 or 2 typos, there's well over 2 spelling mistakes, and then they get 0 for spelling. And that somehow affects vocabulary as well, because the word form changes sometimes. The next thing is grammar. Finally, it's the inability to concentrate while listening. For summarize spoken text and write from dictation, my word, so many of you get so distracted. I don't know why. You look from the screen to the keyboard, from the keyboard to the screen, your hands are moving around, your face is coming closer because you're wearing headphones, but you're bringing your ears closer. I don't know what you're doing. It all affects your ability to concentrate while listening. These are things we need to fix. Next, poor transference. Now, this one is applicable to all of you, not just those of you who write and then convert into typing. It's applicable to all of you, those of you who are typing straight into the answer box as well. I see that you hear things, and then when you've written it down on paper, you can't read the words that you have written. You can't make any sense of it. So then when you go to transfer your answers into the answer box, you don't get it. The next thing is you're typing and you're randomly typing, frantically typing, just type, and it's just all bad. All right? And finally, the major mistake is not following format requirements in your state of panic, which I've noticed in quite a few of you who have very little test experience. You are not following format requirements. This happens not so much in part 1 of the test, it's happening in part 3. Okay? So you have formed a habit of writing a single sentence for summarized spoken text. No, we don't want you to do that. The format requirements do not state a single sentence. What I would like from you is multiple short sentences between 50 to 70 words in total. So I want you to write a paragraph. Okay? So let's talk about each question type now. So let's talk about the right essay question type. You've got 1 question. Your aim is to get 26 marks for a 200 to 300 word essay in under 20 minutes. Can you or can you not do this? Watch the video tute for this particular question type. I'm sure I've done one for changes after August the 7th, but we're going to talk about it anyways together. All right? Once again, I strongly discourage templates. I do not like them, I do not use them, and I do not need them in any way for teaching. Okay? But what I do like is format and structure. Every single time you are going to submit a formal academic essay, no matter what the topic is, right? And we're going to follow this particular structure. We're going to have an introduction, a minimum of two body paragraphs, an optional third body paragraph, and finally a conclusion. Your introduction should be a minimum of two sentences, one sentence to paraphrase the statement. Show them that you understood the statement. Okay? And the second sentence is to directly answer the question. If it's to what extent do you agree or disagree, then you say, I strongly agree or I strongly disagree, whatever it is, a minimum of two sentences, right? Then we move on to the body paragraphs, and each body paragraph has to be structured the same way. Remember that they say there's a human assessor, but at this stage, I'm not entirely sure. If there is a human assessor, of course, content really matters. And it really matters in the sense that when you present your content, AI needs to be able to recognize it as relevant content. The first sentence in any body paragraph needs to tell the reader, in this case, artificial intelligence, that this is what the whole paragraph is going to be about. For example, if the whole paragraph is about advantages, in that paragraph, the first sentence itself needs to be a topic sentence, right? Telling AI this whole paragraph is about advantages. Then the following 2 to 3 sentences need to support that. Don't accidentally introduce a disadvantage in an advantage paragraph. Now, there are many examples of this, but one such example is if, let's say, you're talking about, and many of my students, those of you who have had one-on-one sessions with me, know my chicken and beef question. The question is, do you like chicken or beef? And you say, I like chicken. There are many advantages to eating chicken. And in that paragraph, you list all these lovely, amazing advantages of eating chicken. Somehow you accidentally have a sentence where you compare the price of beef and chicken. So you've introduced a disadvantage of beef while trying to highlight an advantage of chicken. This confuses the absolute shit out of AI. It cannot deal with it because the whole paragraph, you have told AI, the whole paragraph is about advantages. You really need to clarify. You don't need to say bad things about beef to make chicken look good. If your paragraph is all about how great chicken is, make sure you highlight the great things about chicken. You don't need to bring up beef at all. And you definitely don't need to bring up disadvantages at all. I hope that clarifies it, but maybe I might give a couple more examples later on. So you've got 2 to 3 body paragraphs. Each one needs to be structured the exact same way. Remember, you are being marked not by a human being. They say there's a human being. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I can't guarantee. Even then, you're going to submit a formal academic essay, topic sentence, followed by 2 to 3 sentences fully supporting the topic sentence. Okay? And finally, you're going to conclude with 1 to 2 sentences to finish the essay. You need to let the artificial intelligence and the human intelligence that you are ending the essay. In conclusion, in summary, finally, tell the reader that the essay is done. All right? My sweet spot word count for this is 275 words, but I'd be happy if you do 265 to 285. Okay? When you conclude your essay, you are going to repeat your opinion if there was an opinion question, and you can add on a future thought. For example, you can say, while while there are many benefits of eating chicken, the flavor of beef is undeniable, or something random. Okay, it's not an additional point, but it's just to indicate that we cannot ignore in the future the flavors of beef. Okay, if that makes any sense at all. I don't know if it does. What I will do is either refer you back to my Write Essay Tute, or I might even do a full demo all over again. Okay, so let's talk about how to write a high scoring essay. To me, there are 4 steps every single time. All right, this is not IELTS, IELTS, it's far more complicated. I have a far more complicated system. But for PTE academic writing, the write essay process has just 4 steps. Step one, and this is where a lot of you are making mistakes, a lot of you are screwing up, is understanding. All right? You're all practicing on these practice platforms with single word statements and essays and questions. So it doesn't even make sense. Do you agree that artificial intelligence poses a risk? One blanket sentence with a question in it. That's not how it's going to be structured on test day. On test day, there will be a statement followed by a question. This is where you guys are screwing up. You're not understanding the question. You need to understand the statement and the question. The question asks you direct, requires direct answers. Okay? So let's look at an example from the question bank. In many countries, people are consuming considerably larger amounts of sugar than is healthy. Some people that think that a tax on products that contain high levels of sugar is the only way to change behavior. How far do you agree with that idea? So you need to really understand that there was a statement, there was a premise given first that we are consuming large amounts of sugar, then there was a statement, some people think, right? And then there was a question. How far do you agree? Next, step one is done. You fully understood the question. Step two, you're going to plan. You need to plan out your structure. Do I want 2 body paragraphs? Do I want 3 body paragraphs? You need to think about your points, explanations, and examples. Okay? I want you to submit a standard essay structure every single time: intro, body, optional, body 3, and conclusion. Right? The main thing you got to do is, because you've only got 20 minutes, you're going to start by building this structure in your answer box. Come up with main points, explanations, and examples, right? There is no way around it. Someone will catch you out, whether it's a human assessor or AI that has been coded to find templates. Okay? There is no way around it. You want a high score, start writing proper essays. Okay? Next, typing. Type out the essay following your basic rules. Your intro must have a paraphrase statement and directly answers the question. Your body paragraphs must have a topic sentence followed by explanation example, plus point, explanation example, every single time. We don't move away from the structure and the format. Move away from templates, but stick to structures and formats. All right. Conclusion: you repeat your opinion if it has been asked of you from the introduction and add on future thoughts. Before you click submit, you should have time to do a quick review. Did I understand the statement? And did I answer the question to the best of my ability? Right? Then you check for spelling, grammar, missed words, typos, and your word count. Remember, you're not going to have perfect spelling on test day, but I do need you to have perfect scores on content, development structure, and general linguistic range. You deserve it. General linguistic range, how do you do it? You show them that you can write a variety of sentences. John has a ball. John has a ball and it is red. John has a ball which he uses often on Thursdays for football, though sometimes he finds that he prefers to use it on Fridays. Simple, compound, complex. Every single time, show them that you can write a variety of sentences and you will be completely fine. There's nothing to worry about, honestly. Write essay, try to aim for between, to start off with, right after watching some of my tudes, aim for about 18 out of 26. And then by the end of it, when you're ready for the test, about 22 over 26. Anything higher than that, you're laughing, you're doing really well. Okay, so let's move on now to summarize written text. My oh my. So you have 2 questions. Each one of them will be timed 10 minutes each. The maximum score you can get is 9 marks, and you are marked on a single sentence, which is a maximum 75 words and minimum 50. Okay? It is difficult. So these 2 questions combined will make 25% of your final score. It is difficult, right? Let's talk about the steps on how to do summarize written text really well. I did do a tutor on it and I have worked it out, and I find that paraphrasing does give you that really high score. Okay? go and check out that video somewhere. Okay, steps. First thing you're going to do is as soon as the question pops up, it'll look really tiny, right? You're going to visually assess the length of the text. Next, you're going to copy and paste. Some tutors don't do this. They like 3 to 4 sentences. I want you to have 4 to 6 full sentences from equal intervals within the text until you have reached approximately 85 to 120 copied words. Anything more than that, and you know you're just copying and pasting bullshit. Okay? But it is really important because the content score needs to be really high, right? We need 4 out of 4 for content. The next thing I have noticed is that other tutors will tell you to not only just stop at the 65 word mark, but as long as you hit 65, you're fine. No, I need you to copy and paste well over the limit because we're going to cut down, right? The next thing I have noticed is with my students is that the copy and paste what? The copy and paste function does not work, which means you are going to be typing out full sentences. This is where things have started to get messy. I've had at least 3 students now who have mentally started to summarize the sentences as they are typing. Okay? Don't shorten the sentences before you have done the whole copy and paste process. Okay? Try not to summarize or shorten anything. You are going to copy and paste exactly the text that you see. 4 to 6 full sentences, right? Once you've done that, and I'm not even telling you to read it properly or analyze it or understand it, that comes in step 3. Step 3, read only the 4 to 6 sentences that you have copied and pasted. Okay, now look at it and go, all right, I kind of guess it. Some of it is repeated words, quite a bit of repeated information. I know I can cut that out later. Step 4, and this is optional, but I find that it is yielding really high scores, is to paraphrase part or a whole sentence within this 4 to 6 sentences that you have copied and pasted. Okay? Not just change out the occasional word. I want you to paraphrase an entire chunk of a sentence or the whole sentence. Next, step 5, combine the sentences by eliminating full stops and capital letters. Now, that is really important because these full stops can be sneaky when you're going fast. Okay? Then you insert conjunctions. Now, I have found that conjunctions also pose a problem because some people will tell you to insert complicated conjunctions and, linking words like furthermore, therefore, moreover. Cut that crap out. And so, if, but, which, as, so, as long, stuff like that. Short conjunctions. My favorites are and, so's, and buts. Okay? Sometimes I add on a which, occasionally a for. Okay? Next, let's go to the next page. After that, we have finished our 5 steps. Now we're going to cut. We're going to cut it all the way down. You're going to cut down to 70 to 75 words. Okay, previously I may have said my sweet spot is 70 and 65. No, I've gone up a little bit. It's between 70 and 75, right? So I've cut it down. It looks like a single sentence now. I'm going to read it back to myself. I don't need it to make sense. It just needs to be grammatically correct. Okay? So read it to yourself. If it sounds wrong, it probably is wrong. Go back to step 3. Okay? Finally, step 8, we're already at step 8. Make appropriate adjustments. Grammar, punctuation, and spelling. Now, this is an interesting one because I find that if you are generous with commas, you get higher scores. Okay, so if you feel there should be a comma there, please add it in. Okay? And step 9, the final read, is to just read it once over and go, that's it, I'm ready, I'm going to click next. Okay? Okay, so summarize spoken text. Previously there were 1 to 2, but now they've cut it down to 1 question, 10 minutes, 0 to 12 marks for a 50 to 70 word paragraph. It is not a single sentence question. It is a multiple sentence response that you're required to give. You are given 10 minutes to do this. Let's talk about the steps on how to do it. Okay? So, some of you, in fact, a good number of you, prefer to write notes. Now, this is where poor transference skills come into play. I strongly believe that if you are doing an AI based exam and if you are doing a computer exam, you need to have the typing speed to match. Okay? Your minimum typing speed should be about 25 to 30 words per minute. Okay? So if you are going to write notes on a piece of paper, you're most welcome to do so. But again, remember that when you transfer from here to the screen to your answer box, you might lose quite a bit because your writing is unintelligible. You can't read your writing. Okay? So, step one, prepare to type in the answer box. For those of you who are writing, prepare to write. Okay? You are going to type out large chunks of information or words. You're not going to make any corrections, any deletions, and there will be no backspacing, no deleting, no backspace at all. You're just going to continuously type. If you've managed to fit in the space bar in between words, go for it. But if you can't, don't worry about it. Okay? You are going to then keep typing and adding words to your word soup until the recording ends. You will make no corrections while someone else is talking. When the person is talking, you are just typing. Some tutors will say, listen, type, listen, type. In reality, when you're stressed out, you're not going to be able to do that. You're you're either going to listen completely and not type anything, or you're going to type and then lose a lot of information. So that's why I just want you to continuously type or write while you hear the words. Okay? The next part is where things seem to go a little bit haywire for many of you. It's the it's combining the words that you have written into sentences, right? And if you go back to the tute that I did at least a year ago, you will see the technique, and it has not changed even though the content score has gone up because the technique works. All you need to do is combine all the information that you've got into multiple short, grammatically correct sentences. I do not need you to write long, complex sentences. You can write a simple sentence or a compound sentence. There is no need to write complicated sentences, okay? No complex sentences. It's just John has a ball. John has a ball and it is red. You are merely delivering information to another student who has not attended the lecture. That's what you're doing. Short, sharp, grammatically correct sentences. Multiple. All right? Sometimes it feels like the sweet spot is like 6 sentences, but even then, we'll see how we go. All right? And then finally, we're going to review it. We're going to check our spelling, our grammar, and our word count. That's all you need to do. If you have typed out large chunks of information, you do not need to review content. You're going to get a high score. Okay, let's move on to write from dictation. So, we're at the end of the test, the very, very last question. We're in part 3, and it's right at the bottom, and it's the very last question type for the whole exam. You are tired, you're exhausted, you are stressed out, and then they ask you to type in entire sentences from dictation. Not fair. This is given to you 3 to 4 times, and each recording can be up to 12 words in a sentence, which is really unfair to many of you. And the only saving grace is that there are no deductions for mistakes. You can write the same word incorrectly many times. It will only give you +1 for every correct word that you have typed. Okay? I haven't quite tested what the maximum number of words you can type is, but in general, if you repeat the whole sentence twice even, you're pretty safe. It doesn't really matter. Okay? It only marks what is correct. So +1 for every correct word. Okay? So let's look at what to do. Once again, I always have a set of steps that I follow, and in this situation, I have 4 steps. Okay. This is where things get a little bit funny for many of you. I have noticed when you're sitting down, you're going to type, and what do? You lean forward. Why are you leaning forward? You're wearing headphones. Don't lean forward. You're going to keep your eyes either firmly focused on one thing, either the keyboard or the screen. You are not going to move your eyes up and down at all or to the mouse. None of that shit. You are going to look firmly only at one thing. Why? Because the auditory cortex of your brain needs all your energy and focus. You don't move your eyes around and get distracted. Okay? Don't move your eyes from the screen to the keyboard, up, down, none of that, and then look to the guy to the left and see he's finished. It's none of your business. Okay? Step two, you are going to type the entire sentence as you hear it. Don't worry about typos, spelling, mistakes, half or abbreviated words, or even random single letters in your text. If you are a slow typer and you forget to use the spacebar, that's fine as well. No backspacing, no correction, no deletion while someone is talking. You don't do any of that. Okay? Then you move on to step three. Once the recording has finished, you make the appropriate corrections. My word, did you look at the spelling of the word appropriate there? I will correct that. What was that? Sorry. Anyways, you make appropriate corrections. Okay? You turn it into a logical, grammatically correct sounding sentence because there will be no such thing as a right from dictation sentence which is grammatically incorrect. Okay, that's not going to happen in the exam. So if you read the sentence back to yourself and you realize it sounds wrong, it probably is. Okay, so read the sentence. Does it sound wrong? If it does, add in words to make it sound right. Add in a variety. So if you think it was principles instead of principle, write both words. If you think it was communication instead of communicative, write both words. Do what you can to make that sentence sound correct. Okay? So let's switch back. So we have covered the four question types that contribute to your writing score. And I'm again going to repeat that I believe each one of them contributes a quarter to your final writing score. I may be wrong. Let me know if I am. I might be wrong. Let me know. Okay. So I hope this has been really helpful. If you like, I might, if someone leaves me a comment and says, "Oh, I really want you to demonstrate," and you do a full mock test right in front of us, I'm happy to do that. Leave me a comment if that's what you'd like me to do. Have a look at all the other specific question type tutorials that I've provided and then have a bit of a practice. Again, for like I said in write essay, your initial aim should be about 18 out of 26, and then you're going to make that jump to 22 out of 26. And anything higher, you're laughing, you're doing really well. Followed by Summarise Written Text. Your aim initially, start off with aiming to get 6 out of 9, and then eventually you're going to build up to your 9 out of 9. Okay, where you add in that little bit of paraphrasing. For write from dictation, practice, 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 typing speed. And for summarized spoken text, honestly, it's one of my favorite question types because that word soup is so funny. And it's not even logical, but because you're producing grammatically correct sentences and you're covering a large amount of content, you're going to get a really high score. Okay, so that to aim to get about 9 out of 12 and then eventually 11 out of 12. You're going to make some spelling mistakes, some grammar mistakes. That's fine. Okay, thank you so much for being here. And if I don't get to make another video before Christmas, as you can see, my tree's up, my kids decorated, it's a bit messy. Um, Happy holidays, and I will hopefully make another video just before the new year. But if I don't, happy holidays and happy new year. And thank you so much to all of you who have subscribed because I think I started out the year with like 30 subscribers. And now we're well over 70, and I'm really happy with that. And thank you so much because I want to teach for free, but I also need to pay my bills. So yes, until YouTube starts working out really well for me, I'm going to have to continue teaching one-on-one and keep my private tutoring business going. We'll see how we go. Thank you so much, everyone. Like, share, subscribe, you know the whole works. Thank you, everyone. I will see you next week, hopefully. Bye.